Live on a beautiful Saturday morning with the man, the myth, the TSMViss, the Hambinoo, the Watch Ya Mike. In a little bit since we got together. Sorry, dude. I've been all over the place with this
Nah,
dad life.
it's
I know
all
you were
good,
getting
bro.
over some crud the other week too, right? You back to
yeah.
100%?
Yeah,
Feeling good?
I had got sick freaking a couple weekends back, man. Stuff was lingering around, but I'm all set now, baby. Everything's good. I just need to,
He's got the tank on. He's ready, like he said. He's ready for the warm weather.
if I can put the tank top on, I'm thinking maybe then like the weather will start changing, you know? Because it's like I've been like it's not working so far. We gotta try something, right? Gotta try something.
Right?
Maybe if I put the tank top on, somehow something's gonna change.
That's like back in the day. I mean, I don't know if you did it in Utah because you guys probably got a lot more snow than we did in New York. But like when it was supposed to snow the night before, you used to like wear your pajamas inside out, for the snow day.
Is that what it was?
Little good juju. Yeah, you're making me nostalgic now with the tank top. Well,
Right.
dude, I'll show you. It's got to be coming your way. We're cracking. We're like getting into the 60s over here now.
Wow,
Spring is
see?
full blown in the DMV East Coast area. So maybe Utah's gonna get blessed up with some sunshine and heat soon.
Yeah, but it's at that point right now where it's like we get the most bipolar weather ever, and it'll bounce up to like the 50 degrees, and then like 3 days later it's like back down to freezing, snowing again, and then it goes back up, and it just goes back and forth for like
That's probably why you're getting
weeks.
sick. All the fucking temperature changes and all that. I know we're
Maybe.
starting to get all the pollen and crap.
Something
I'm
was
waking
going
up a little
around.
like sneezy. Oh yeah, little bug or something.
Yeah, dude, everyone I knew got sick. Every single person
Yeah.
I knew got sick, man. So
I've been lucky with the baby started doing some not really like a daycare, but like this like play group with like younger kids. And man, tell you, kids are germy little bastards, man. I know it's only
that's
a
how your
matter
immune
of time.
system
Like,
goes up, man.
I know it's a matter of time. The baby's coming home. Like I'm like
Uh-huh.
a year out from probably being sick like every other week
Yeah,
because
just
she's gonna
wait.
be in school.
Yeah,
You know what
she's
I
gonna
mean?
be
And
getting all that stuff and bringing it home to you.
Yup. So
Mm-hmm.
I got to get my immune system ready for that. But I've even started seeing it now. But we've been lucky. She gets a little snotty, and then we stay good. So thankfully, knock on wood,
Right.
we've been staying above all that here, dude. But freaking, I mean, what do I want to bring up? How's everything going though with like gaming wise in the stream? Everything going good? Killing it as usual.
Yeah,
Feeling good about the
Doing-
games and all that.
Like I said, been doing some Apex. Just finished up Resident Evil 4 playthrough. That game is actually
right.
super sick. If you like playthroughs of any games, dude, I love the Resident Evil games. All the remakes I'm making are so good. I played them when I was younger, growing up, and I always have so much fun with them. That
I was
honestly,
talking about that with a
RE4 is
buddy.
probably like in the running for my game of the year this year so far.
Ooh,
So
dang, maybe I need to visit that one then because I've been looking for a little something like that, just a little single player or something playthrough. I might have to check that out because somebody was saying that too the other day, like how good Resident Evil 4 the remake is, and you're the
Yep.
second person who said that. So
Yep, it's solid.
Now I'm heading that direction. Now, I was saying that the other day, like I think Resident Evil, those were like the first video games that ever scared the ever living crap out of me as a kid.
Dude,
Like I remember the
yes.
opening scene in Resident Evil 2 in the hospital or whatever, the police station, whatever it was, and you're like going down this long hallway and these things are jumping out the walls and out of the
Yes.
ceiling. I remember being a little kid, like I can't go down that hall. My dad playing like with my dad or something. So, yeah, maybe that'd
the
be a good
scene
one
when the liquor's
to
crawling on the
revisit.
ceiling, bro.
Yes.
My,
that scary game back in the day, man. That it's crazy.
My brother would have me like I think he was a little scared or something because my brother he would have me come down in his room and watch him play. And I remember that very first time I saw him play Resident Evil. It was the first one. It was Resident Evil Director's Cut, and you go into that room where the zombies eating that guy in that cutscene for the first time, bro. I was so afraid of like zombie stuff after that. It gave me. I was just a little kid, man. I was just a little kid, but dude, I loved those games after that as well. So
Have you played a lot of horror games like outside? I mean, like Resident Evil, I know is more like the zombie slash horror, but have you played a lot of horror games? I can't say I've played too many
Right.
like horror games.
I've played a good amount. I think they're
I've
fun
always been
games to
sweaty.
stream. You're,
yeah,
people love
yeah.
people love watching people play horror games. You know, people love watching.
Yeah,
people
what's
get
that
scared
one
and
that
stuff.
went big for a while? Phasmophobia or something like that.
There's
I know that went
Phasmophobia.
pretty big for a while. Like people were loving seeing streamers.
Have you done Outlast?
No, I haven't done Outlast.
Soma?
Mm-mm.
Dude, like see some
None of these, bro. I'm a super
hey,
noob.
this
I
year-
should make a list for the chat here
Yeah.
for like hit these goals and I'll play these games and scare the shit out of me on stream
you
or
should
something like that.
at least when like Halloween comes around this year, you should get like a scary game or two and do a playthrough of one of them or something leading up to Halloween.
That is a good idea. I should do that.
Yeah.
Because man, I won't lie, with horror, I don't even do much of the horror movies either. Like, I don't know, I should do it. That would be fun. I get a little scared, man. You know, I don't know. You start
It's
watching
fun. That's the fun of it, though. That's the fun of it.
Yeah, it's thrilling. You know, it's like everything. Some stuff is pretty numbing these days. So at least the horror stuff gets you going again, huh?
Yep, absolutely.
Dude, what'd you think about last week's fights, man? I was Cheeto Vera. Bummer,
Oh
huh?
man, dude, yeah, that just was not that good of a fight. It just seemed like
Right?
he didn't show up. Seemed like he didn't show up in that fight, man.
I think, like, it kind of gave me the feel that he went into that fight thinking that Corey was just going to stand over there and they were going to have a kickboxing match, you know? And it was going to be like, who's going to knock who's going to throw the kick that's going to knock one out? And Corey came in, freaking Corey Nurmagomedov with the strategy, you know, implementing the grappling, the wrestling, and the striking. I mean, what a well thought out game plan from him.
He's well rounded, man. He's very
well
rounded.
Because that was insane. Like, man, as a big Cheeto fan, I was sad, but I've seen the way he's taken like the loss on social media. So that could be, you know, a good loss for him. Maybe he could come back here and brush it up now and get a little bit more dynamic with the game plan.
Right. I
feel like that was the first time we saw him get wrestled hard like that in a while.
Yeah, that's true. He hasn't gone against a lot of guys with like a really good ground game. If you think about it.
He usually lures them into striking with him, and then he lands that power shot because he's pretty strong for the division. Man, make the O'Malley Cheeto rematch now.
I want to see that. Yeah, I want to see that. I honestly though, it's looking like O'Malley's next in line for the title shot.
Yeah, after the Cejudo Sterling fight.
Well, dude, what about Cejudo finally coming back? What do you think about that? Like, he had been out for so long. He finally ends up like coming back. He had talked about it for a long time. It was almost like, is he actually gonna, or is he just trying to make some noise for himself?
Do we see him kind of? You think he comes back kind of like John Jones did, and it doesn't ring rust don't matter, you know, all that stuff doesn't matter. He's just gonna come in and be that same. Because like I think a lot of people who haven't watched UFC in a while, like Cejudo was pretty freaking dominant, man. Dude, like when he was in the UFC, he's like up there with like the Mighty Mouses, the John Joneses. Like he's kind of in that realm of like
Cejudo's
MMA,
really
you know,
good. So I mean, he's slept on. It's because like I think it's because of all the cringe and kind of like how he acts. Like people don't think he's actually that good or something. But Cejudo's a freaking monster when it comes to MMA. I mean, he was an Olympic gold wrestler, right? Like that's when you got that type of skills in wrestling, and then his like striking is pretty solid as well. Like, I mean, the second fight against Mighty Mouse, he like pretty much outstruck him on the feet. If I do remember.
Yeah,
right.
I was gonna
say,
isn't he like one of the? Isn't he the only person in the UFC who beat? Oh no, I guess actually he did lose. What's his name? He did lose to Dominic Cruz at 1.2, but his last loss in the UFC was Henry Cejudo. That's right. Yeah. Because then after that loss, he went to 1.
Right.
Which is crazy too, because that's somebody else that I think everybody forgets about is Mighty Mouse, man. Like another GOAT. And because he's out of the UFC and he's been at 1 now for the past couple of years, I feel like, you know, he's been forgotten about. But yeah, he's another one of those guys in that conversation who's just like well-rounded, just go. And also, like, I gotta say, what an awesome fucking guy. Mighty Mouse is awesome. I had the pleasure of meeting him. Big PUBG player. I don't know if you remember that, but big PUBG
I remember.
player. And
he's a huge gamer. He does stuff all the time on Twitch.
That's right. The old partnerships manager of PUBG about a year and a half ago came from the UFC. He used to be in relations in the UFC. I didn't know that. Yeah, so right before COVID, they had this world tournament in Oakland, and he got a special guest to come out with all the some PUBG partners, and it was freaking Mighty Mouse. So I got to spend the whole weekend watching the World Championship of PUBG with Mighty Mouse, and I got to say, the dude's freaking awesome, super humble, super down to earth. Like, you gotta love it when these guys who are at the top of the food chain also remain like, you know, remain humble like that. So.
I'd say that's probably the case with most of the time of like 9 out of 10 fighters. You know, even if they
seem to be very real, right?
Yeah. I mean,
some of them are controversial. Like, even if some of them are a little bit crazy. Like, I think that's the one thing about these martial artists that we've kind of come to see, right, brother? Mm-hmm. I really agree. They're kind of relatable. Like, they're more like people than they are like
absolutely. Because
celebrity. You know?
I mean, if you think there's some they might like promote the fights, right? They might put on a little bit of a show to promote the fights, but if you met them in person, you know? I mean, they're going to be real people. Because, like, when it comes to, like, actual realness, rawness. Like fighting is as real as it gets. You know, you go in the gym, you're around these people every single day, training and everything. Like you're not gonna be able to be some like really fake dude and make it too far in fighting unless you're just absurdly talented. Like there might be a couple out there like that. It's just not
Is
gonna
that
happen,
Colby
though.
Covington? Based on, I mean, based on what we've heard from Jorge Masvidal, you know, he was kind of that dickhead at American Top Team, like not paying the coaches or whatever. It was just like, I don't like, run my, but he's insanely talented. So
it's
like,
hard
like you said,
to say because like when emotions come into play and like they used to be friends and everything,
ooh, they had
like they hate each other now. So who knows exactly how it all went down and everything. Like that's the thing. Like you never really know until you hear both sides of the story, and then you can try to maybe piece it together. But I don't know. There's a whole lot of things that go into that. So it's one of those things. It's hard to say. It's hard to exactly say what was going on with all that.
Right. Yeah. And then they say he's got the next title shot. Apparently, it's like a lock for July. So it'll be interesting to see him get back in action there against Leon.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anything.
I think that's going to be a huge fight as well. I could honestly see him beating Leon in that. It almost seemed like.
Man, we didn't get to talk about it because we haven't done this, but like, dude, right? Like, I think if I remember correctly, the podcast we had before UFC 286, we both went with Usman. I think we were like, he's back. Yeah, he's gonna be there with a vengeance.
Yep, we did.
And dude,
Leon
I
looked
think
really good.
I don't know if it was that Leon looked really good and prepared. They say like, you know, I remember Bisping was saying he's like, after you win the title, you get like 20% better. Because your confidence is just through the fucking roof. Yep. So you're more calculated. Your thought process is clear. I don't know if he just looked that much better or if Usman really like, dude, that knockout changed him.
I think it was a comment. I don't know if how much it changed it. I think Leon came in. It was the confidence. He came in with a great game plan as well. He was attacking the legs, attacking the body with that kick, and like Usman knew the whole time what his game plan was. He knew eventually that kick was going to come up top, so I think that kind of slowed him down a little bit. Where he was always in the back of his mind, he's like, I got to worry about this kick. I'm sure that played a role. I think part of it as well is, you know, like how old's Usman getting at this point? He's got all the knee injuries and everything. I think it's like Leon got all this boost from. I think like it's maybe Usman's a little bit on the way down and Leon's still on his way up. You know, and maybe you've seen a little bit of more of a gap created. And Leon had the speed advantage on him too. Like Definitely. He just shut everything down. His defense was really good.
Almost. He looked stronger. You know, like he looked stronger. And like you said, I don't know if it's because Usman was so scared of that head kick, but dude, there's a lot of body kicks that were landing where Usman didn't even try to block him because he was just, you know, answering the phone to cover the head kick.
Right.
So you could tell that he was definitely waiting for that thing to come back at him. That kind of reminds me, like Usman. You know, you talk about Usman. We're talking about like guys at the top of the food chain. Like, you got to put him up there. You know, at the welterweight is like one of the best to do
Absolutely.
it. It's I don't know if you heard what like Joe Rogan and Jorge Masvidal were talking about the other day, but like, dude, Joe Rogan like kind of tried to say that like Jorge Masvidal would have beat GSP back in the day, and he's like he was trying to say that like.
Is that really
get your thoughts on?
I don't know.
I might be misquoting him a smidge. I think the general consensus was like, you know how everyone's always comparing like the runs of the greats, like, oh, Usman's run wasn't as hard as George St. Pierre's run, or like I think that was like the premise of the conversation. And then I think Joe Rogan pretty much said that like fighters these days are way better than fighters were back then.
I think that is true. I get if I probably understand what you say. He's just saying for the main fact of like, hey, fighting nowadays is way more difficult than it was back then. So it's like if you take Jorge from today and you put him back against GSP, it probably would actually be like a very close fight.
A close match.
It probably would actually be a very close fight. You know, GSP came back and he won against Bisping and he won the belt then and then got out of here. And you know, in that Bisping fight, it wasn't like it was some extreme domination. You know, and that's with Bisping as well. So maybe it would have been like pretty close compared to how we think about them in their era.
Yeah, and like you say, for people who've been watching MMA for especially the UFC for so long, you really have seen a lot of things change. Like, you know, back in the day, the styles would kind of cancel each other out. Like a wrestler might not want to take down somebody in BJJ because like even if they get the takedown, they might get submitted. Right. You know, but nowadays, like we're saying, is that little bit of everybody's game is well rounded. So like, you know, and it seems like certain things have come out to be like stronger than others. Where like in the long run, wrestling, right? Wrestling and like leg kicks.
Oh yeah.
You know, those seem to be just huge right now. And if you can implement leg kicks and wrestling into your game plan, that seems to be like the skill gap right now in like MMA. You know, I always wonder like. You know, it's like those memes where it's like, just get up. You know, it's like when people yell at fighters to just get up or whatever. This can attest from doing some jiu-jitsu. You know, it ain't always as easy as just getting up or just blocking the leg kick. But yeah, I wonder that I'd imagine that that's probably like the route they were going there. You know, just kind of talking about how like people are just so much more well-rounded in the game now, and you can't just be a one-trick pony. Right. It's been funny back in the day. Remember watching like early UFC, the wrestler would come out wearing like wrestling shoes.
Yes.
Because like they still could. Yes. And like the BJJ guy would be in the whole what do they call the gi? I forget.
Yeah, he'd be
in the gi, and the other wrestlers in the fucking wrestling shoes, and they're like, you're like, dude, they're so different, and they're feeling each other out, and neither ever wanted to commit, and now everybody's just good at fucking everything. So it's like anybody could get it any which way.
I will say, dude, if you do just a little bit of jiu-jitsu, say you did it even for like a couple months, when you go back to watching fighting after that, it's completely different. Like when you see people get on the ground, you like really understand like everything that's happening. It's actually insane how much different I see the fights now than even just watching 6 months ago.
Right? Yeah, you're no longer. Yeah, as you say, you appreciate that technical nature of it a little bit more.
Like really
I won't
see
lie,
what's
I'm not
going
huge on it.
You can really see 100%. Like what's going on exactly. You're like, oh, okay, like this person's gonna be able to escape out of this because of how they're like positioning themselves and whatnot.
That's what I was gonna say. You probably know when somebody like you never. Sometimes with these announcers, you never like, oh, that's deep, and like this is like, nah, that's not even set. Like like there's no way he's getting choked out here, right? Like, so it definitely probably helps understand just like that side of it. Like, because sometimes it's hard to tell. You look at something, you're like, oh my God, this guy's about to get choked out. And then their head just pops out.
Right.
You know, or like something like that. So it definitely, can help you appreciate that style a little bit more. And I mean, too, that's what, like you saying, like, based on like Gordon Ryan and some of these other things that are going on, dude, jiu-jitsu probably not far off from being a little bit more mainstream themselves. I mean,
it's getting
goddamn. This goddamn slap league. Listen, I'd rather watch guys roll and gals roll than watch them fucking slap each other in the face like barbarians. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
So it's like
that does have an entertaining value though. That like there's a ton of
you
people
watch their head,
but
the dust off their hands goes flying. They get smacked.
The one hard thing about jiu-jitsu is it's like someone has to know a little bit of jiu-jitsu for it to be really exciting to watch. Like when you know a little bit,
I could see
when
that.
you do know like a little bit though, it gets so fun to watch, bro. It's so much fun to watch, but you have to have a little bit of like an understanding behind it before it really gets there. So that's like the only hard thing about jiu-jitsu, I think, with it going like really mainstream, is like you really had to have done it a little bit in order to understand it. That otherwise it's just it's tough. But hey, dude, there's more and more people doing jiu-jitsu now. It's insane how many people go to a jiu-jitsu class.
I would love to see like the list of like martial arts and what has been the fastest growing over this, because I feel like when we were younger, like martial arts have been around for a long time. I mean, I was doing taekwondo. My sister's a second degree black belt in taekwondo. Like we've done some martial arts before, but it was always like karate, taekwondo, like that
was
type
like
of
the
stuff.
popular
I bet
stuff
you if you looked at the data now, dude, jiu-jitsu is probably like a rocket on the charts.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be number one.
It's gotta be the most popular. Yeah, I would say it's gotta be the most popular martial art these days.
I think so.
I mean, I even got family members coming over for Thanksgiving, like, oh, dude, I've been doing jiu-jitsu and rolling. I fucking love it. You know what I mean? He's like, you gotta try it. So,
bro,
it's like,
I wish that was the case. I'd be like, all right, let's go right now. Let's go roll. Let's go roll right now.
We're going.
Push the couches in the living room. Yeah. Push them out of here. All right, let's do this. Let me so fun.
Winner gets.
We're rolling for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's 100%. So I'd say that is jiu-jitsu is probably only not too long, a couple years from being pretty freaking mainstream. If I had to guess, this guy I'm an acquaintance with. He owns this CBD company called Game Up Nutrition. He actually he's done a lot of work with the UFC and the Diaz brothers specifically. And he does this event every year, and it got so big that, dude, he sold it for like a huge stack of cash, but literally it was called High Rollers.
Right.
And what it was is every year in California, you know, right on point, Diaz brothers, everybody would just go out to California, get super stoned, and then just roll. And it was a giant jiu-jitsu tournament. And Joe Rogan was actually talking about it not long ago on his podcast, because he was like, dude, jiu-jitsu's blowing up. And he's like, these guys I know do these thing called High Rollers. And like, yeah, everyone just goes to California, smoke a bunch of weed, boom, hit the mats, and they're just doing a jiu-jitsu tournament. It's like a charity, you know, whoever wins, they pick the charity the money gets donated to. But yeah, like, he sold that for a bunch of money himself. So it's like, dang, you could even see it that people are looking to buy jiu-jitsu organizations. And you know, Gordon Ryan, he's getting really popular. So I really think that within the next couple of years, we probably do see some more like televised mainstream, you know, jiu-jitsu. But like you said, it might be perfect because now everyone's learning it, so it'll kind of time up pretty well.
Some of the biggest promoters right now, like the UFC, started to have jiu-jitsu on Fight Pass, like a bunch. They've already had other competitions before, but I think they have Gordon Ryan. He's gonna be doing a lot of his stuff on Fight Pass, and then ONE FC has like jiu-jitsu as well. Right, well, they put him in the cage and have him do jiu-jitsu against, and there's been some nasty, bro. There has been some nasty clips out of that, man. Like, dude just not tapping, and their like knees getting ripped apart and elbows getting like taken out and everything. It's bro, wild. It's wild.
Speaking of that, did you see that Muhammad Mokaev fight a couple?
Oh, dude, I missed that. So what happened?
Oh my what happened with God. That? Well, there was like some controversy around some situation where like everybody thought he tapped in like this like guillotine that wasn't even set. Yeah. And he ended up going on Twitter and saying that they were talking to each other because like a glove grab happened or something. So he like tapped the guy on the ribs like, don't worry about it. Like, it's all good, buddy. Like, keep going.
Right.
But what happened was bro, this guy, you got to have to look up the video, dude, because my verbal description or even the picture, my verbal description won't do it justice. But Rafael Fio had Muhammad Mokaev in this knee bar that was so disgusting.
Oh God,
I cannot believe that the guy survived it. Like, dude, his leg was like literally bent at like almost a 90-degree angle, and he was able to get out of the knee bar, get on the back, and then sink in a rear naked choke. And when he went to stand up from like after winning the fight, he couldn't even stand on his leg. Like,
I'm watching right now.
It was disgusting.
It's done.
And he was like a minus 800 favorite too. And I'm watching it. I'm like, oh my God, he's getting submitted. And then that's what everyone says. He's like, dude, like now, and that's why they say they have the tap, because now he's got probably like what 5 months out, you know, from getting a fight or whatever, because his knee's just shredded. You know, his knee might never be the same. Like some Thiago Santos stuff is what people were saying. And that guy apparently was a big prospect. So that the flyweight's actually heating up, man. Heating up. There's a couple names right now in the flyweight that are really fun to watch. Mokaev, you got Manel Cape. That guy's a savage. I was sad his fight got canceled against Alex Perez last week. And then Jake Hadley, this new guy. So you should see some good flyweight fighters coming up, which has been a division that's a little quiet.
Right.
You know,
I just watched it. I honestly, I don't think I ever seen a tap.
Oh, not in the knee bar.
It was
there was a different one that like, and everybody got all controversial, like, oh, he tapped in a different submission earlier in the fight, you know, that type of shit or whatever. I couldn't really tell, but that I just wanted to show you that knee bar because you were talking about it with people sinking in these nasty submissions. The cool thing about ONE is too, don't they do those hybrid competitions where like I didn't Mighty Mouse do one of those, like one is like
they did Muay
one
Thai,
round is like Muay Thai, one round is like MMA rule set, one round is this. So it's kind of interesting to see, and I think they're starting to get a little bit more popular because I think they've started televising on some like stateside networks now. So I think they're trying to, or they just held their first stateside event. Something with the states in ONE recently happened, but I can't think of it off the top of my head right now.
Well, they're like broadcasting now on like Prime or something. Right?
Is that what it is? Okay, so something. It's a network. Network picked them up. Yeah, I think something like that, but I can't remember.
Is on Prime. Yeah, ONE Championship Prime Video. Yeah, they're on Prime now, which is nuts. Like, that's a big thing for them.
We're getting some love in the chat for Viss about the moment with I know we've talked about it before, but that moment with Jens when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. Yo, that was
an awesome fucking moment to watch live. That's what they're saying in chat.
Yeah,
man, what a freaking moment, right? That is something crazy to be a part of. Like, you're just hanging out there with your buddy Jens, and all of a sudden, bang, surprise, freaking A Hall of Fame induction,
Yeah,
like holy.
It's been really cool.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
I know, dude. Well, the part it wasn't with his kid, where it was like
that's right. Yep.
The coolest thing to me about it, if you guys don't, we'll go over it real quick because I've talked about it a bunch of times. But one of the cool things, like Jens, he grew up. He had a terrible childhood. His dad was an absolute like garbage human being. Like would beat him. Like was just did terrible stuff to him. Like terrible stuff. And he kind of talked about it before of like what that feels like when you're in a house, right, where you have to fear your own father and you hate his guts, and you know it's someone that's not supposed to be how it's supposed to be, right? I'm sure you, as like being a father, like you can't even imagine like doing that to a kid, right? So like you can only imagine how he felt as the kid having that happen to him with your dad, right? And so he told this story about one night that he was in his bed after all this had gone down with his dad one day, and he was like there and he's crying, and he flipping told himself, I'm never gonna ever do this to my kid. I'll never do this. I'm gonna be the best father that I can possibly be, right? Like one day I'm gonna have a son, and like I will never treat him like this. I'll make sure that I'm a good dad. And so fast forward, he eventually makes it into fighting. He starts fighting in the UFC. He takes this fight on like he continues this fight even though he's injured. He has like some terrible leg injury, ends up knocking this dude out, gets noticed from the Fertitta brothers and Dana White. They're like, we want you to go and fight. God, I can't think of his name, but he was like the best fighter out of Japan at the time for the UFC belt.
Yeah.
First ever 155-pound belt on the line, right? The first ever fight for the championship. Him and this dude from Japan, he ends up beating him, wins the belt at 155 pounds, right? Goes on to defend his belt against BJ Penn and some other times as well, and then ends up fighting in the Ultimate Fighter. He's the coach for the Ultimate Fighter, ends up coaching fighters like Nate Diaz was one of his fighters on his team. Eventually goes to the end of the Ultimate Fighter, ends up losing to BJ Penn, but it was a good fight, you know. He defended his belt and everything, continued fighting for many years after that in the UFC and in other divisions, and then goes on past that. Now we fast forward, he's running stuff over the UFC's channel and everything. That night he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, because this was just like, I started thinking about it in the moment, like what, like the insane story on this, to know where he came from. But he's there, he's starting to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. They're showing like his whole career and everything in front of him. And his son was down there, and his son had told him, I have to record you for my class because we're doing something about like our parents and their jobs and stuff, so I have to record you for some things. And his kid knew that he was going to get inducted in the Hall of Fame. Like, his family knew, so he was down there recording him. He starts getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's watching all this. He had his kid come over, sits on his lap, and he's having his kid watch him. And he said to him, "That's I just want you to be proud of me. I want you to be proud of your dad." And he told his son the story about how his dad was a piece of crap, and that he promised that one day he'd have a son, and he would do something that his dad could be that his son could be proud of, and he'd be a good dad to his son. And it was just like such a crazy moment, because you're like, this dude came from like one of the most terrible situations. He went through all of this, right? He it's like he changed the path, right? He broke the chain of his dad was a piece of crap, and then boom, he breaks the chain, and now he's a great dad to his son. He's teaching his son wrestling. His son's really getting into wrestling. He's becoming a savage in it, right? And it was just the coolest thing to see. Like, even more than just him getting inducted in the Hall of Fame, like the really cool thing to see was
that father-son bond.
That storyline behind it, right? That this man came from that. He went through this. This is a real person. He went through all these trials fighting in a cage. And now he's got his own son, and he freaking changed it. He changed the whole entire outcome. It's like the coolest thing ever. It was such an amazing thing to see. And that's what got me in the feels. It wasn't the fact that it was awesome he went to the Hall of Fame and all those.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame was cool and all.
It was knowing that behind it.
That was the one that hit the heart, man. Mm-hmm. You know, you're like, it's getting a little warm in here, man.
Yeah.
I got some. I need some water. You know.
It was cool, dude. It was.
Yeah, really awesome. That's one of those moments where it's like, especially Jen's like, he's been around for a while. You know, it's like that's one of those moments where like you go from kid to man, and you're just like, dang, like we completed that circle, that full circle moment, like that that he probably was in his head, probably thought of that story you just told me, that moment when he was laying in his bed crying, and then he was thinking about the moment that he's sharing right now with his son, and he's like, holy fuck, I did it, like we completed that. That's incredible, man. And that was such an awesome moment to see too, and that you got to experience with him. Wow, that's so sick. And I love what he's doing now with the UFC channel too. So it seems like I've been. But I think that I've been just checking into the stuff he's doing on the UFC channel a little bit before you started doing some stuff with him together.
Right.
And like he's come a long way with that stuff
Absolutely,
too. Like
yeah,
he's
getting
really
good
finding his rhythm and he's getting really good at these videos and these breakdowns and kind of like adding into that style of like, for the UFC it's been really cool to see him be able to, to do that well too and kind of grow like in a different way while staying true to the game that he, knows so well.
Absolutely.
So I definitely enjoy it. And if you don't know, check it out. Yeah, the UFC channel, Jens Pulver. I don't know how often he goes live, but pretty live. So just drop a follow and
it's like every single fight night,
with a good dude. Yeah, because they do the watch-alongs, and I know even sometimes during the pay-per-view weeks they'll do like leading up, and they'll rewatch some of the past fighters for the upcoming fighters past events and stuff like that.
Tough Tuesdays as well, where they watch some of the old episodes of The Ultimate Fighter. They go through the whole seasons together. So like
Speaking of tough,
60
days. I think is what I saw.
It's
the
not
tweet
too long,
was,
huh?
Apparently, yeah,
Bro,
60 days,
Connor
2 months.
And Chandler, like I'm excited actually. I haven't been this excited.
I'm excited for the tough
in a long time.
And I'm excited for their fight. Like everything about that is just like speed and energy and like power and like guys that are just very like loud and eccentric.
That could end up being like one of the highest pay-per-views of all time. Like I don't know if it goes up over the Khabib one in Connor, but damn, it's gonna get up there. It's gonna get up there for sure.
You can't dislike Michael Chandler. Like all these young fighters that are higher in the rankings that want to talk shit to Michael Chandler. Sure, like I get that approach. Like you could probably like Armin Sakarian will probably beat Michael Chandler. Right. There's no doubt about it. But how do you, as a fan, you just gotta love Michael Chandler. I mean, he just since coming from Bellator, he has been in the UFC, and he has just put on banger after banger. I mean, even in Bellator, like his fights were exciting. Don't get me wrong, because he's just a very explosive guy. But like, I feel like he still didn't maneuver with the same like maniac style that he has in the UFC. Like since he's been in the UFC, he's like probably my second favorite person to watch after frickin' Justin Gaethje.
I love that dude. I love watching Michael Chandler. If there's like a person,
his mentality, his style, like that
you would want to be like. To look up to is like Michael Chandler's the ultimate dude for that, in my opinion.
Right? He is kind of that like all-American, kind of guy, right? Yeah. Like as they label it, sort of.
He's got a great. I don't know if you know this. He does a podcast himself. It's called Walk On Wisdom. If you haven't ever checked it out
I have to check that out.
You should. It's not like super popular at this point, but that's something I would take a little look at that, bro. It's
I 100% should. What's that called? Walk On
Wisdom.
Walk On Wisdom.
Yeah,
open up a book.
I think the whole thing behind the name is he walked on at Mizzou for wrestling, and he was just a walk on. He had no scholarship or anything, and then he got all the way to being the guy for his weight class. And he wrestled back then with Tyron Woodley and Ben Askren were both part of that team as well. Okay. So he kind of talks a little bit about that.
That's crazy to think about that. They had 3 future UFC guys.
Some monsters.
To
show you the power of wrestling, dude. Yeah, the power of wrestling. Those high freaking...
Right? That's freaking insane. Speaking of Gaethje, man, that was also a great fight. That he had not too long ago against Rafael Fiziev.
Yeah, that was a monster fight.
That was there on that pay-per-view
first round
before the Edwards. Right? I thought, dude, at first I was like, dang, Fiziev is looking really good. Yeah. But and then that experience at Gaethje just took over.
Drag you into deep water, bro.
A couple Gaethje uppercuts. You ain't throwing too many body kicks anymore because you're scared of that uppercut. Listen, I want to do another podcast before next Saturday. Hopefully, maybe we get one done this week. But just in case in the event that we don't, I know Izzy's the favorite fighter.
Right. We
got the 1 week until fight number 4, fight number 2 inside the UFC. What are you thinking? How you feeling?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe we just talk a little tiny bit about that, and then next Friday.
Let's try to get another one on Friday,
because that's what we should do. Because we've already talked so much UFC stuff, but quick take.
I got a couple other non-UFC things to bring up too after this, but yeah,
I'm pretty biased, but I like Israel is my favorite fighter, bro, and
I want to see him win, man.
He was winning that fight the whole way through until the KO. I think this time he is able to avoid the power of Pereira, and I think he gets the win.
Nice. I want to see it too. You just got to stay off that cage.
You think that's going to be the case, or you think Pereira's taking it?
Man, I just get so worried. The only issue I have with this whole fight is the size discrepancy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like Pereira is just so big
He's
for the division, and
freaking
like he
huge.
cuts a lot of weight. Like
He's
you know, like
huge.
that's like Izzy fighting Blachowicz, but while Izzy's only weighing 185. You know what
Right,
I mean?
right.
Like, so I like you said,
Pereira's
I think
ground
that
game's not that great though. That's the big
exactly.
change
I
right
think if
there.
Izzy can mix in some more TDs and use some more like grappling, even maybe some like clinch striking or something like that, I
Right.
think that could be good. And he's just gotta, bro. He's got to move like Corey Sandhagen did
Uh-huh.
against Cheeto Vera. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like he can't like get stuck up against one of the sides of the cage, or I think it'll be kind of similar to what happened last time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Pereira is too dangerous there. So I think with some good movement and some good grappling, I think he's had the IQ to maybe overcome it now. You know, he's fought him twice at kickboxing. He got him in the UFC fight. He saw where he was winning. He saw where he lost. I want to see how he comes back now, because that's only his second loss inside of the UFC, and we never got to see him fight Blachowicz again.
Yep.
So who knows? Maybe he would have made a better game plan for Blachowicz if he got a rematch there.
True.
But that fight never happened. So I want to see how he comes back against an opponent in a rematch. After, like this is his first rematch in the UFC. You know,
Right, right.
And probably that fight against Blachowicz happened a long time ago. So I feel like he hadn't really lost in a while too. So like, you know, this could be one of those losses that helps him learn. You know,
Absolutely.
But yeah, we won't dive too deep into that because, like I said, I'd love to get one going on Friday or something before that big pay-per-view.
Right. So
I got yeah, you got it. Well, you got something?
no,
You
I
got a
was
topic?
curious. I was curious what you got. You got something for us in like the world of streaming out here? There's been
Yeah, I
there's
got
been
a
some
couple
stuff
things.
going on.
I got a couple things here. I got a gaming thing. This one's more just something to gloss over to say that I think it's pretty freaking cool. But all this this like Roblox / creative Fortnite 2.0 stuff is starting
yeah.
to get insane, man. And it's starting to make me really excited about like the next couple years of gaming coming up, because I feel like with the pandemic and the growth of gaming and streaming, like the industry outpaced the technology. And now like the game technology is gaining again. And now I feel like we're kind of going to enter another one of those years that's like, not years, but one of those eras that's a little bit more like those golden eras for gaming. Like maybe we get another 2018 year where we're seeing like 3 huge title release that like change the game forever.
I would love to see that.
But right, 100%. So I'm hoping that, you know, with some of these new coding things going on, that you know, we'll see some advancements like with gaming. But I just thought it was pretty neat to see like what some of these guys are making in these games too. Like they don't even look like Fortnite or Roblox. They look like freaking full blown games. So
I haven't
I just been
seen
getting a little bit excited about that.
the Roblox one, the stuff. I honestly, I've almost like I don't think I've ever even looked at that game that much. Like I don't know if I've even watched like 30
No,
minutes
I
of
haven't
gameplay.
seen much either.
But like the Fortnite stuff, I've seen some different clips of where, God, the one creative, it looks like it's like they showed some videos of it, and it looks like it's like Elden Ring in Fortnite, like the Elden Ring style game.
Yeah. I've seen Call of Duty, Elden Ring, like
COD,
all that, right?
and then zombies. You've seen like the zombie one where they made like the bus
They
station.
remade the zombie map. Yep.
Yeah, and
PUBG 2 in that when somebody come on.
you know the cool,
I know somebody's
exciting
listening.
for the reason you're so excited is we both know how Battle Royale even came to be with PlayerUnknown and making the mod back then, right?
Yep.
And Arma. So it's like maybe someone out there makes some really cool mod out of this. Like think about how many people play Fortnite and how many people are interested in Fortnite. You might have some really cool ideas, and creators go in there and use that and make some brand new mode, brand new game style that you've never even thought of before. And next thing you know, that could become a title, right? That could become a title in something else. So
the next big title, and too with the dead drop stuff, like they've seemed to come a long way too. I haven't jumped into the newest build. I'm not sure if you have either.
I haven't either, but I've seen some gameplay, and it's progressing pretty good.
It is. I think they've come a lot. Like, dude, from some of the early, I'm sure you could attest to this too. From some of the early snapshots I jumped in to see what they have now, just within a year, I was like, wow, I'm pretty freaking impressed too. And I know Hallie's been playing a little bit, and Hallie's been saying that he's been enjoying it a lot, and he says that it's definitely like, you know, they're starting to get there now, where it's like now's the time to start checking it out, maybe log in every now and again, see how they're improving, what's changing, but. I just wanted to bring up a couple gaming points because I'm kind of excited again to see where gaming is going to go over the next like 1 to 2 years. You know, between the content creators making games and the Unreal Engine 5 on the whim, and these new, you know, sandbox style of designing, coming back again. It kind of reminds me like it's, back when it was before all this crap blew up really crazy.
Yeah.
And nobody knew how to maintain it, and everybody was just churning out whatever they could churn out to try to capitalize on the gold rush, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And then Dark and Darker. I know everybody here who's watched this and I for the past couple of months, we dove into the dungeons a little bit, get Dark and Darker. But man, have you seen all that crap? They are like apparently down and dusted, man.
Yeah, they got
Nexon served them a cease and desist.
Yeah.
So like at first they got raided, and then they were like, "We're good. Nothing was stolen. Nothing's wrong." And then they got hit with this cease and desist, and now they're like shut down. I don't know if like these Nexon, they're huge. I think like mad money. They're probably just bullying them. Like
it could be that. It could be a bullying situation, or it could be maybe they actually used some stuff that they weren't allowed to use.
Right?
And
yeah, I would love to know.
Some code or something that,
Are they getting strong armed, or did they snatch? Did one of these devs snatch
both being,
something?
I could see it being both, either one of those. So it's hard to say.
or a little bit of both too, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that was pretty crazy to see too, especially I think just because that game was so widely popular already, and like people were definitely like getting that on their radar, and then it's just. I don't know. Who knows if we'll ever even see that game get pushed out now?
Yeah, absolutely. Who knows? It could. I mean, this legal stuff could get tied up for like years, right? So
a long time.
That's
what I see them doing. Like, we're gonna drag you through the mud.
Yeah, exactly. Forever.
And then we'll just walk away when we know that nobody's interested in playing Dark and Darker anymore.
Yeah, what I mean? Once it's just done for, they killed all the hype
And I will
for it.
say, speaking of Dead Drop, speaking of Dark and Darker. Is this the next era of gaming where you have not only extraction but also zone? Like, I think we're going to start seeing some more hybrid styles of gaming with VR and stuff now.
I hope.
Like Shroud, I hope when Shroud and Sacrilege come out with their survival game, even if there's no extracts, I hope there's like a gas. Because like maybe like that way it forces players around the open world to shift around more rather than some dude watching Netflix sitting waiting for somebody to walk across the street or something like that, right?
He's just sitting there. He's got that side monitor up. He's watching his Netflix show.
Oh shit! Footsteps. Pause it real quick. Bang, bang, bang,
hold
bang,
up.
bang, bang. Okay.
All right. I just stole 200. $1 million in gear in rubles and Tarkov. All right. Let me go extract now.
Right. Exactly.
Jesus
So
Christ.
I didn't say that about Tarkov. I would love to see them add a map that has, even if it's just one map, like has like toxic gas on it or whatever, and forces people to get pushed into certain areas or whatever a little bit more. So yeah, maybe that's kind of like the future we see with gaming, is this new genre where it's not quite a BR, not quite an extract game, not quite a survival game, but it kind of has a blend of everything.
Right.
That'd be kind of cool to see, because I like that style. I don't mind if somebody wants to play strategic, get something done in extract, cool. But like, I don't want somebody to sit in a corner the whole time. So that's where that gas will kind of, get them guys moving a little bit more.
I just love the idea of a looter shooter where it forces movement.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Because you still have that high stakes looter shooter feel.
Yeah.
But like you said,
now in a Battle
those
Royale
stakes get
setting,
higher now.
Oh man, it's gonna happen. Like it's not gonna be too much longer. It's gonna happen within the next few years, and I'm telling you,
we're almost out of the drought, bud.
There's gonna be a great game that comes out of that. Like, I really think that's gonna be the next big one. You're gonna can have that Battle Royale combination with a looter shooter, and like it just seems like that game will just dominate. And honestly, it could be Dead Drop.
It could be.
The more I'm like thinking about it, I really think that Dead Drop could pull that off. So.
That camaraderie around that game right now is pretty crazy. Like, I watched some of their live event, and like, dude, there was a ton of people in the crowd. They got big names involved. Like, they're definitely doing that Apex style strategy. Like, which I was reading an article about that. Man, everyone forgets how crazy good Apex did that. Like, they flew out all these top dogs like the day before the game dropped, and then like had them all tweeted out, and then the next day the game dropped, and bang, and then like here's Apex now, like the best. I know you think it too, and my personal favorite BR of all time is PUBG. I think PUBG has the best gameplay, but I think if you look at the test of time, it's pretty hard to not give that title to Apex of being the best BR, of having the blend of not only ranked and public and competitive, and all it touches on. Like, see, when I played Apex with you a couple weeks ago, I was like, dang, I forgot that like Apex actually takes skill. Respectfully, like Call of Duty doesn't really. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like that's what I realized in the difference. I was like, okay, similar style of like a gunplay, but like in Apex, I'm like whiffing, I'm missing. But like in COD, it's just bing, 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 crack, knock.
No
like,
recoil. Easy to. They COD made it so it's like the worst player in the game can easily kill the best player in the game.
Yes.
You go to Apex,
and
if you're the worst player in the game, you go against the best player in the game, you have no shot at all.
That'd be like the aim assist.
That'd be like me jumping in to a jiu-jitsu match against Gordon Ryan. It's like I have no shot. He is going to kill me. I will never beat him at all. Here. I have zero. We could do it 100 times. I will never win. Like that's
he'll
exactly
win 100 out of 100.
He will win 100 out of 100. Like,
and I do think like that is that is how gaming should be. Like it's just like anything in life. If you put more time into it, you probably should win more so on there. But you gotta love a little. You gotta love a little RNG to spice it up a little bit. Right. Sometimes. So well, that's why we love the BRs, and it does make it kind of like anybody could get it. But like you said, wholeheartedly agree. Like in Apex, it does seem like even though they have that good blend of getting the crossplay and getting a lot of different people into their game, it does seem like that skill still remains at the top there.
Yep.
Which is why I gotta appreciate it big time, even though I don't play it much.
It's an interesting thing where I love that. I think you do need like a tiny bit of where someone who's not as good.
Yeah, Johnny coming home from the shift, he's got to put somebody down.
Right, that's which right. PUBG really did really good at that because for the most part, the best players would, but like there's still a shot that like a guy that wasn't that
you
good
might catch a K9 bullet in the ear hole, and it don't like, and that's just that more like that realism in terms of the gunplay, right? Like you said, very similar to that in PUBG. Like 8 out of 10 times, like majority of the time, the better player will win in a game like that. But that's what makes it cool because of that realistic gunplay. That every now and again the other player gets one. And I think that's what keeps people engaged as well, right? Because like you said, if they ain't getting one, they probably ain't gonna play too much. That's why you don't see too many casuals playing Counter-Strike. Well, these days different because the new one's coming out. But like you said, when games get like too much in favor of the people who play more, you really do kind of alienate that audience a little bit. And I think now, like 10 years ago, that was okay because gaming was like very niche. But like now, gaming's way too broad to not like be given the casual gamers a bit of a chance through some sort of style. Which Apex has MMR, right? Do they do like skill-based matchmaking?
So they do skill-based matchmaking for rank, and then they have like an engagement-based matchmaking system that they use. That's right.
I remember you telling me that. That was engagement-based. Right.
That's how they try to solve that issue for their game. Where it's like if they were just to put in, the random lobbies, and you have some people that are like the best people will win every single time. So that still happens if you have a team, right? But when it comes to playing solo in that game, like that, they try to change that we're like, okay, two teammates that are brand new with this guy that plays a ton, but we're gonna put him against people that still play a good amount, but there are like 3 of them that play a good amount, so they even it out that way. But it just becomes a thing where you're trying to backpack a team every single game, and you can do it sometimes, but bro, when you do it every day and you're just like, here we go again. I gotta throw both these guys on my back and make it up this mountain. We're going again, baby. It's like every single day.
You're like the pack mule, bro. You're the pack mule.
Every single day. It's
one on this side, one on this.
Can I carry these guys to victory again? Can we do it again today? This gets wild. What I want to know what you think about the fact that PUBG is like after all these years finally coming out with the fact that like, hey, we're gonna do a revive system and try to make some more of these changes that people have been asking about.
I mean, they came out with this roadmap. Like I think they dropped it like a couple weeks ago on like a dev stream or whatever. And they came out with this roadmap, kind of like showcasing some things that they plan on doing. But like, dude, they come out with this roadmap. It's already March, right? Practically April. So we're done. We got 3 quarters left. They don't tell you like when anything is coming out or like, and then they still kind of do it the same way they always do it, where it's going to debut on like one map to start. And then if it's good, they're going to move it to the other maps. So it's not even like they're getting ready to like roll something out. Just like, you know what, this is what it's going to be. We're rolling it out. Like, here it goes, like, so they're still like, they're still like half in, half out. They like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I know for a while the company was doing well. Like they were profitable. I know they've been having money issues, and that's not like me speculating, they've made statements. They've had to let some staff go, some community people specifically from the NA region. So like I don't know if like it's just I know the world is pretty crazy right now, and especially the tech sector has been hurting a lot. So it could just be the nature of the world at the moment. Right. But maybe they're starting to feel the downslide of the game a little bit more on the finance, side of things. So I think like I would just love somebody at that studio to just come in and just take a risk, and just kind of do like a big rollout of like a bunch of different features and just be like, you know what, like, and Hallie said it great. Shout out to our buddy up north. He was like, dude, they're missing an opportunity by not just putting out all this new stuff and slapping a 2 on it.
Yep.
Fuck it, just slap a 2 on it. Even if you do it and like in like a month later it doesn't work and you just go back, whatever, like, just try something like that. So I think that a lot of us, man, it's hard to be optimistic these days because I think you look at it and you see where it's heading. And even if they add something good, like somebody like yourself, like, you have a lot of experience with PUBG and you played a large portion of your career even like within PUBG, but like you'd probably even be more inclined to come back to try a second one than you would to try an updated first one. Because like, you can only update the first version so much, and everybody knows that. So they come back, and like Summit's doing it. And that's what sucks for the PUBG community because people get their hopes up because like, Summit plays like once a year for like a week straight. Everyone's like, yeah, the streamers are back.
No.
And I'm
like,
no,
not.
Dude, they're just bored. Like, he has nothing else to play right now.
Yep.
He's going to enjoy PUBG for like a week and then get drive-by'd by fucking Tiggleton and be like, you know what? I don't know why I'm playing this game. You know what I mean? Because like, it's just... And that's what like I feel like 90% of streamers that return to PUBG, big or small, have that kind of consensus, because I know big streamers that have returned. I know ex-pros that have returned and they feel the same way. It doesn't really matter like what side of the size or whatever. Yeah, it's just not.
It's not what you want it to be anymore.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so myself more than ever too. Like I've still been pretty big on playing like some other games and stuff like that, and I would love to be optimistic for the game again, but they make it hard, man.
I would love it.
They make it hard. Like it's not even me wanting to be a negative or pessimistic individual. It's just like they come out with stuff, and I'm just like, I don't see this vision playing out.
Yeah, it's just what I've come to see over the years is it's not anything to do with the game. It's to do with the leadership behind the game. And even like the vast majority of the devs, I think, are probably great, and they probably have amazing ideas and everything. But whoever's the people actually calling
like whatever they say,
the shots over there, that's the issue with that. And the thing with that, that's never going to change. So that's why I kind of like, I would love to be optimistic about it, but like I just honestly have like probably no hope at all for like the PUBG titles because of that reason.
Dude, am I biased? Tell me if I'm biased. Be honest with me, Viss. Just lay it on me straight and forward.
Okay.
If I'm being biased, just be like, Hambinoo, you're capping. I've been seeing a lot of pictures coming out on Twitter recently, and it's all four pictures. It's like a picture with 4 slots, and it's always about what's the best BR. And not one of these people have PUBG in those pictures. Am I biased for thinking that PUBG, regardless of how it's gone, should be like? I think it's usually like H1, Fortnite, Apex, and COD.
H1, Fortnite, Apex.
Has PUBG been effectively bumped out of this best BR of all conversation? Best BR of all time conversation?
I don't know.
Or
if you look at it,
are people trolling?
I think it's just because like maybe so many people, maybe like a lot of the people are used to like, what PUBG is now, so they don't even want to talk. But like during its time, it was like for those first 2 years, the type of feeling and how much fun you had playing that game.
One of the best of all time.
It's right up there with like the first couple of years of Apex for me. Like they're even, and Apex I think is the best battle royale we've ever got. So I mean PUBG is like right there with it during that time period. But the problem is, I think the big reason for that is just like how outdated it is and like how much time has passed since then. That's
what's crazy. People come back and they look at PUBG. And they're like, oh, it's like colorful and like their DV, like the digital vibrance and stuff like that is nice. But then just like everything about it, just like you said, it looks like Arma. It looks like DayZ. You know what I mean? And like these games will stay popular and like keep a player base or whatever. But like you said, like I think with the industry now, there's definitely a certain style that resonates well with the industry. Right. And I feel like the style of PUBG is just a mismatch right now. People are like, I'm just going to play Tarkov. Why would I play PUBG? You know, or I'm going to go, right? So it's like, I feel like it's also something to do with that too, where like they're just not popular. You know, they're just not fitting in. Nobody knows where to put it into their rotation. Like you said, you don't play enough, probably gonna just get in and be like, oh, I got stuck on a curb and now I'm dead. What the fuck? Yeah. You know, like just like Daisy, I walked off a rock and I broke my leg. Like this game sucks. Like,
yeah.
You know, but yeah, I did say I got a little salty when I saw some of these greatest BRs of all time, and I wasn't seeing PUBG in there. But like you said, I get it. Like why these people making these lists? They probably haven't even played PUBG because they're like, what's that game, man? It's freaking 5 years old.
That could absolutely happen.
All right, I got one last little topic, and it's something that we've talked about before. It's something that everybody's seeing. It's nothing sneaky or quiet. Is kick, and you know, kind of just like as we get more and more into the development of this website, and you know the way that it's trending.
We're gonna talk about the signing. Is that what we're gonna talk about?
Well, I was just talking about. Well, yeah, they got the Hikaru guy, the chess guy. You know, big. Well, I think some say like the biggest chess streamer in the world or one of the most popular chess streamers ever. He came out to say that he's not like exclusively with Kick, but he's going to be streaming more there than other places.
Yes.
I mean, you've seen people like Mr. Beast fucking tweeting eye emojis underneath Kick's tweets.
Ooh,
like
I haven't seen that actually.
They apparently have like 5 more people they're supposed to be talking about, and like just as they started getting this steam rolling, and then their man Aiden Ross kind of throws him back into the fire again with all this shit that he's been doing.
Yeah.
And try to, so it's like going this way, and then it's like skirt right back down, and then it's like my kind of question of what I was presenting was today is like I was kind of actually like pretty optimistic with the direction that it was trending, but now I'm starting to see what I think a lot of people say is like, because Chica made a tweet yesterday, which I retweeted because I firmly agreed with it, is that like I think we can all agree that competition is good. You know, like we saw the big shift in the way that Twitch treated streamers a couple years back when some streamers started getting bought out by other websites.
Right.
You know, more Twitch streamers were getting better revenue splits, maybe deals. Organizations were getting, you know, compensated to keep their, you know, people on the website or whatever. But the problem is, I feel like, you know, when you have somebody that is, you know, highly controversial like Aiden Ross, that is going to be the most cloudy person on your website, like, is he going to overshadow the good that's going on, or do you think at the end of the day, like, the internet's the internet and people are just going to go where they're going to go?
When it comes to that, what I've just seen over the years in the internet is that people like the Aiden Rosses, like the Jake Pauls, like the Logan Pauls, that they they just drive attention and people don't really give a shit. It's kind of like it's kind of just like a weird. It's part of it's sad, but like I get it. It's just I think often people just like a lot of the majority of people, you know, and I think this is like the kind of the opposite type of person from me, but I think a lot of people are just like this, where like they just really don't give a shit. Like as long as the person's got views and they're successful and they're like doing all these things, they just literally don't care. Like you could be a terrible person, you could do terrible things, right? And people just don't give
super unprofessional, and that's been a trend in the industry for a while. You know, professionalism,
what we do,
right?
Bro, you know,
yeah,
like, it's not, and that's because I personally, if I talked about my channel and your channel, I think that we are probably a little bit different than a lot of the channels out there that are like maybe like the channels that are freaking huge, and you know some of the guys are aligned closer to like what I would think of our channels, right? But the vast majority of people out here is like, bro, it is the biggest clout thing you can think of, the most wild shit. It's a reaction farm, right? And it's like a quantity over quality type approach to things, and it like straight up on the internet with this many people, like it works, and people do it, and they've been very successful off of it. So like you say, I see this, but honestly, most of the time what I've seen on the internet, like honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen a time where someone does stuff like this and it doesn't just help them, and like, so if anything, I think it's just going to drive more people to hear about Kick and go watch Kick and watch these people. And like, it's actually, if you really think about it, like Kick is like perfect for that. Like it is that is like the streaming platform for all this wild shit. And so if anything, I think it's just gonna help it.
Yeah, right. It kind of like doubles down on what, you know, like I don't know exactly. Like they have I know a lot of people bring up the TOS thing. Do they have a TOS? I do believe they have a TOS, but I do believe that they said that like they're not going to regulate like too much when it comes to like speech. Now, like I guess that could be a gray area because like what is free speech and what is like hateful speech? I don't know, right? Like not my position to call it, nor is it my website to make that decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could definitely see it being like you said, like it's definitely probably going to create moments like this, but the effect that the moments like this have might not be totally negative based on what Viss and I have kind of discussed here today. Is that like the internet is just the internet, and like people are going to click on what they're going to click on, and you know, I think I heard Trainwreck say it last night. He said something like he said that like people like large streamers audiences are too stupid to cancel them. Is like what he was kind of like saying, and he was pretty much saying that like I guess like what he was saying is that like when people do things that are like very like walking the fine line, that like like, you know, I guess like you could cite like the whole Miskiff thing, you know, like that whole shit happened with Miskiff a couple months back, and then like he came back on to like thing, and he just returns back to like 5,000 viewers, you know, 10,000 subs, like, you know what I mean? So it's like even if shit goes a little haywire or a little bit down the wrong path, sometimes these communities are so large that it doesn't even matter. Like people aren't like trying to like cancel you for it. So it's interesting to see that you said, you know, like it just seems like, yeah, people are just, they're going to do what they want to do, you know, and they're going to click what they want to click. And at the end of the day, controversial, you know, whatever, hateful, it's going to drive attention. And we're unfortunately in the era of attention, like you said. Yeah, that's what everybody's looking for.
Yeah,
you know, that's what everybody wants.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of just a weird thing that you come to realize over the years. Definitely being like a content creator and like paying attention to the internet and everything. Like, yeah, like my eyes were completely open to it when like the Logan Paul like Suicide Forest thing happened.
Oh my God,
like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like it was like one of the best things that's ever happened for his entire career was that. So
right?
it's like it just made me realize then that like that's how things work.
When was that? 2018? What was that? Wild. 5 years ago? Look at the guy fucking now. You know, he was already.
No one gives a shit.
Already,
no one cares. No one even talks about that anymore.
He already was who he was. He already was who he was before he did the fucking video. He was already extremely like successful, and then he does this video. I mean, gets dragged, and now look at him. He's fucking prime drink, largest sport drink in the world. Fucking partner with the UFC, boxing Floyd Mayweather. Exactly, like nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
and,
like, yeah, just,
you know, you can think back even before him, and there's tons of people that's been the case. I think almost ever since the internet's been a thing. Like if you think about the Kardashians, like how they got popular.
True.
You know.
True.
So it's I think it's just the way of the internet. It's kind of a crazy realization to come to, but it is. It's something I came to a while ago when I first started streaming.
Does it make you feel like an outsider, or am I just a boomer?
No, dude. Like I do feel like that because. It's weird.
I feel that
it's
way
a weird
sometimes.
feeling because
I can't relate.
It's yeah, I can't relate to it either. I can't relate to it either, and it's one of those things where I don't know. Have you over the year when you really come to realize that you're like you have to like kind of make this question of like, am I doing things like the right way? Like, should I actually instead be like some dude that fucking chases clout and plays into all this drama and everything? And I just don't think I like. It's just not me. It's not who I am. Like I would rather not have like I'd rather not.
Exactly. You might see me throw a little popcorn emoji under some Twitter beef just to get a couple impressions just to mess around. But like you said, I ain't doing anything outrageous.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I see, and if I tried to do it, I just like I just feel it doesn't feel like right, you know?
Right.
Which by the way has nothing to do with anything we're talking about, but absolutely fucking love the workout content the other day. And to answer the question you asked everybody, yes, you should continue down that fucking line, my dude, because that was fucking
the workout
awesome
stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot, and I think that with what you know, with all the work that you've done over the years, that like man, that video was like perfect. It was like this just it like this is Viss. You know what I mean? Like I was all about it. So from me to you, I think that was awesome. You know, speaking of just like doing some sort of different content, that was sick. So you got the Hambinoo stamp of keep rocking with that shit.
You're the man, dude.
That was great to see.
Yeah,
so I really like that. So I think you should keep messing with that a little bit. you know?
Right.
Because that was good. And that's like the type of content that like we're kind of to tie this all together where it's like you're not going for that attention style of content, but that's the type of content that can garner attention. And it could be like a good sort of attention rather than like you said, garnering the attention from a negative standpoint.
There is something to it after I've just said that, because there's usually two ways to go about things, and it's like, you know, it's like the old tortoise and the hare, right?
Yeah.
Where like, hey man, sometimes the hare, he can get out there, he can get running quite far ahead, and you know that's kind of like what I see is like the clout side of things on the internet, where like you could do that tortoise and it's kind of like a slow build, but you got a like strong foundation. I've seen people do that over the years, like different creators, right? And they've built like some really, really great followings, and like some that you can be like really freaking proud of, because I think that would be like the hardest thing behind it for me. Like I would just not enjoy what I was doing at all, because I would know like deep down that I built all this shit off of just some toxic shit. And that's at least for me, like it'd be so hard for me to do it. Like I would just want to be proud of myself or who I was or what I was doing,
or what you did for other people, or help connect people, create an environment for people to enjoy themselves. Like you're saying, 100%. Like you got to feel good a little bit about what you're doing. So I want to ask you, now that you said that, who's like one person you just described, or is there one that comes to mind, like off the top of your head, if there was one you had to throw out there, like somebody who's kind of stood the test of time and has built like these things and seems to be like pretty proud of what they do?
I'd probably,
do you have anyone?
You know, like on Twitch, someone like that, ConCarnage. ConCarnage, he's got like a freaking massive. He's been at it for a long time, and I feel like he's done everything in a really good way.
Oh, he's tenured.
He's a very, very big creator now. Like great in variety. He can play anything. He's built like such a solid community of solid people over the years, and he's done it slow. He did it the slow way, you know. But he's just been at it for so long, and he did so well at it that would be someone on Twitch. And then like someone in fitness that I could think of is like Layne Norton. Where like
Layne, I'm gonna look him up.
He's definitely got like a bigger following now over the years, and he's just done it in a way where it wasn't like this wild stuff that you can see in the fitness industry. He's stuck to just what he does, and he does call out some bullshit, so maybe that helps a little bit when it comes to that, but he just did it in like a very solid way. He's built up a very solid like following because of it, where you'll see also in fitness, like people will do like the most scammy snake oil type shit ever, like and like you know, like a Liver King, and just like he's still doing perfectly fine, man. So
yeah, right. Speaking of the whole, you know, especially something like that, natty muscles lifting. I'm on gear, and then fucking dude's fine 3 months later. No one gives a fuck, right? That he was using gear or whatever.
Yeah,
like
no one gives a single shit. No one cares that he lied about every motherfucking thing, and he's selling all these supplements.
Exactly. And trying to not only lie, but also like financially benefited off of it as well, right? From that. Yeah.
No. Maybe some people give a shit, but there's a lot of people out there that don't give a shit.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think it's changed anything. So
exactly, I would say mine would be I'd probably say someone up there like Co is a great choice. I love that choice, especially when you're talking like veteran of the game. But I think somebody who embodies maybe not quite as much of a veteran as Co, but definitely getting up there in time is Nickmercs.
Yeah,
like I think Nick has done a really good job of staying true to himself, putting on for his community, hosting events for his community, and like he's never really been the one to grow from doing some negative clout chasing. He goes to a game, he settles in. He learns it, he gets into it, he builds community around it, and then he does it with the next one. And I think he's going to be doing that for like 8 years or something too. So I know he's starting to get up there as well. So it's like there are definitely like some good examples out there of people that have been around a long time. You know, I mean, and even somebody like, you know, I don't say I would see him do as much with the community as like these other guys you mentioned, but even someone like Summit, you know, same kind of vibe, just being Summit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just going on every day, and just he might not be doing anything too crazy like that, but like he's just himself. You know, and he ain't looking to be controversial or you know, seek that attention. And it's funny when you look at it, you notice something. Most of these streamers we're talking about have been streaming for about 7-10 years. So it's kind of like the change of the era.
Yeah,
you know, the younger. I don't even want to use the word younger because it might not even be so much subjected to age, but the next generation of content creators are very different than the ones who kind of started this whole thing with the platform. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely a big shift and change. If you look at the streamers 7 to 10 years that are popular, and you look at the streamers now 1 to 3 years that are popular, I bet you they're very very different in the way they do things and like the approaches and things and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, Sacriel's another good one. Someone brought up in chat too. Sac OG. As well. Same thing there. But all right, Viss, that's all I got. I got one more closing question. Totally random. I don't even know if you watched it, but even if you haven't, you watch March Madness? We got 4 teams left this weekend. The final 4: San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, Miami, UConn. Random pick. Who's winning from Viss?
I have no clue because I haven't watched any of it.
Give us one. Give us one.
Okay, give me the names again. We got Miami. Who?
All right. So you got 5th seed San Diego State. You got 9th seed Florida Atlantic. 5th seed Miami and 4th seed UConn.
I'm gonna go with Miami.
So some big. All right, I like the choice. I was gonna say 2 big schools, 2 like smaller schools. So it's kind of funny to see that. All right, Viss just random choice Miami. Now listen, I don't even want to put any money on there. Like he said, he hadn't been listening or watching. He's just throwing out a random pick. I just wanted to ask him a funny question, to end it there. But yeah, if you want some March Madness, we got no UFC this weekend. So tonight, I think there's a game if you need some entertainment. All right, Viss. Well, hey, brother. Thanks so much for the Saturday cast, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate
no problem,
you
brother.
some time for me to come out and hang out with you guys for a little bit. That was a good one. And let's link up Friday and give these people a nice little UFC 286 breakdown. Right?
Sounds good, man.
Or 287. Sorry.
Yep.
All right, Viss. Have a great rest of your day, brother. I'll talk to you soon. All right, man.
Yep. Yo. Later, Hambinoo.
All right. Peace, bud.
The merch is up on the shop, along with the way better t-shirts. If you need to let them know that you're just simply way better out here, boom, got those up there. We got shirts, we got hoodies, we got hats, we got everything. All right, there's literally everything on the shop.